Okay, this video will be testing various types of headsets, Bluetooth, cell phones, flip phones, smartphones, anything relating to phone. That's what this video is going to be about, showing the amount of RF radiation that these devices give off. Let's get the props out of the way. Now what we're going to do first is get a background RF check. And what we have here is, I'm going to turn it on, is Acoustimeter model AM10. And I've just turned it on, and a little basic education here. This number here to the upper left is the number that's going to be the peak hold. So this gauge here, there'll be a series of LED lights. The peak, as high as this ever gets, will register and stay there. The next number over to the right is what that's reading currently. Right now we're less than 0.02. And then over here, the average is in microwatts per meter squared, which is shown in the lower right hand side. So what we're going to do now, is going to give a 5-minute test. We're going to speed it up even faster this time. It's going to be about 7.5 seconds, a 5-minute test, because we're going to speed it up 40 times normal speed. So let's begin. Okay, after 5 minutes, you see the Acoustimeter didn't budge. Why is that? If you have an Acoustimeter, probably wondering what I did. No trickery here. We happen to be in a metal building 3 miles from the nearest cell phone tower. So it's very RF clear here. There's hardly any, and there's nothing in the warehouse that would suggest an RF signal at all. So we get a really clean dead zone here in an all metal building with metal doors. So what we're going to do now, for the next part of the test, reset this. We use a cell phone. We're going to turn on a smartphone and see the difference. Now there's not even any need to reset this because it never even budged, but when we turn this on and get it fired up, you'll see what's going to happen here. Okay, I'm dealing with a Samsung Galaxy S3. Yeah, I'm behind the times, but at least it doesn't blow up. And this is going to be your typical cell phone signal once it gets booted up, and you're going to see a difference right away. Now remember, it's going to be searching for a signal when it gets going, and it's going to try to keep looking for a signal that it probably won't find. So it's probably going to remain pretty active for this 5-minute period. But we're going to do this right beside there. Now the sensor is inside here, so we're about, depending on where the antenna actually is, we're about 2 inches from the edge of the phone. We're almost 2 inches. Okay, so as you see, we got activity now. We've already spiked to 2.23. So we're going to start the test and go for 5 minutes. Okay, after 5 minutes, you'll see that we never budged from that 2.23 that spiked when I turned the phone on. So that probably wasn't a very fair test. But just to show you something here, let's say I put it right here for a few seconds and take it off. Look at that, it went over 6. So if you had this up your ear, you probably would be receiving over 6. Here we're a couple inches away from the sensor. But to be fair about this, what we're going to do is, I'm going to restart this because we're doing other tests relating to these numbers. So we're going to turn off the Acoustimeter and back on and run the same test for 5 minutes. Because I believe this number is not going to go a whole lot more over about 1.5. Having to return to normal speed here for a second, because what happened is we had an incoming call come in. And this gives us a good opportunity to see what happens when you do get a call coming in. Now remember, we're in a metal building with no glass or anything, and it's a good RF shield, so it's very difficult to get a signal in or out, and it actually takes a full 9 seconds for the phone to start ringing when this starts happening. You'll notice after a minute and a half we're at 1.08. Now watch the left meter. You're going to see it peaks, disappears, peaks again, disappears, and comes back again until the phone actually finally starts to ring. Okay, it's very apparent that I'm going to have to edit this more than I would like to. I would like to do this all in one take, but it's just not going to happen because I keep getting interrupted by people calling me or whatever, and sometimes the signal gets through. Okay, we're back to the phone is off. I'm going to turn it on. And let it spike again, and then we'll run the 5-minute test. Okay, it spiked to 1.88, but now I'm going to turn this off and back on. The phone is still on, and we're going to run this test for 5 minutes. Okay, after 5 minutes, you'll see that if you actually go back and look, and it just spiked right when I went to pick it up to now it's 3.87. Perhaps just the movement of the phone closer this direction did it. I don't know. But in any case, if you go back and look, you'll see that it actually paused for long periods of time, like it is right now, where it's not doing anything. And then it jumped again. Now it just spiked to 6.0. So give you an idea. So if it's up to your ear, it's actually going to be probably at this point, 6.0. What I want to do now is I'm going to put this in airplane mode. And a lot of you may have seen this before, the way people do this. It's now in airplane mode. And you saw a blip, but then it settles down. I'm going to reset both of these. I just blipped again. I'm going to reset both meters and start a 5-minute test. So after 5 minutes of being in airplane mode, you can see that the acoustometer did not budge. Not one time did it spike at all. So it's probably safe to say, if you still want to use your cell phone at your bedside and you're concerned about RF radiation, you probably can put it in airplane mode and still use it as a clock and as a alarm if you wish. So we're going to go do some more experiments now. And what we're going to do now is, let's see, when we turn on GPS, watch what happens. Whoop, I can't do that in airplane mode, right? So I have to go out of airplane mode. Okay, out of airplane mode. It might take a few seconds. Then let's see if I'm in. It is showing GPS. So now the phone will start doing, let us turn the GPS off actually. And you can see it's spiking already. Turn these on one at a time. And we're going to reset the acoustometer, because it has spiked up to 4.49. Okay, back on, and we're going to get like we had before. Button's over here, so I'll have to pick it up to do this. Okay, let's turn on the GPS. And we'll run it like that for 5 minutes with GPS on. Okay, after 5 minutes, you see it spiked to 2.18, but most of that time it was inactive, as it is right now. Just nothing going on at all with GPS. Now, I don't know if that means it stopped looking or what the situation is with GPS, but let's turn that off. We're going to turn on, let's see, let's go with Wi-Fi next. Now, keep in mind, we're in a metal building. There is no Wi-Fi. Right now, there's nothing's on, except I did turn off the GPS, and maybe it's reacting to that. But we're going to turn on Wi-Fi now. Let's wait for it to calm down, if it's going to. See, actually, the way I have it situated isn't fair. To conduct the test, we should be like this. And we're going to turn this off and back on. And then, well, now I have to get to the screen where I can turn the Wi-Fi on again. And Wi-Fi going on now. And we're going to time this for 5 minutes. Okay, starting the test again because I keep getting interrupted. I'm surprised calls are getting through, or people trying to call me. I'm going to reset this. It's still in Wi-Fi mode. And we have to restart this thing. Okay, after 5 minutes, a lot of activity for a while, and then goes down to nothing for quite a while. It peaks out at over 6 all the time. It jumps all the way to top and does some things in the middle. I don't understand what's the Wi-Fi. Remember, we're in a metal building. There's no other signals to be received or transmitted, basically, outside of this building. So it does what it wants, but a lot of time it was strictly off. Let's turn off the Wi-Fi, and it's in a quiet mode at the moment. Well, now it's not anymore. turn off Wi-Fi. Let's see if it takes a little time. Now remember, this phone is still on though. We are not in airplane mode. See if it settles down. Okay. Now we're going to do Bluetooth too, but Bluetooth is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to have to get the Bluetooth headset out. But for now, I just wanted to show you what happens when you turn Bluetooth on. But what I'm going to have to do is turn off the acoustometer and go to Bluetooth and turn the acoustometer back on and turn on Bluetooth and watch what happens here. And we're going to have to scan when it comes up. Okay, I'm not used to using Bluetooth because I never use Bluetooth. There it is. Okay, scan. Now that's not the phone, that's the acoustometer. It's presently scanning, trying to find a signal, a Bluetooth signal. And right now the Bluetooth is not on. So it did not find anything. And so now it's no longer scanning, it says no devices found. But what we're going to do, we're going to do this later. It peaked at 5.09. We're going to do this later with an actual Bluetooth headset if I can get it to work. So, but what we're going to do now is we're going to do another test. This time, turn off the Bluetooth. How do I do that? I need to go here. Okay, right now we have basically all those 3 items off that we were going to be testing later. Let's pull this phone aside for a second. What I'm going to have to do is, the phone is still on, so we're just going to leave this running. I'm going to have to redo some of my little contraption here. Might get a little vibration. Then I have to remove my little trap door, and we're going to put the phone. Now remember, the phone is still on. I'm going to put it on this concrete block here. Right now the phone is about 2 feet away from the acoustometer. We're going to turn off the acoustometer. So now it's on, but nothing else is on, just on. And now you're going to get an idea how much radiation it puts out if you say you had it on the side of your bedstand, or if you had it maybe in your hand on speakerphone. Might be an indication of what you could be getting 2 feet away. Okay, we're going to clamp this on here. This is part of my little system here that's not always perfect. And see if we can get it to stay on here. Okay, you can still see the phone down there. You can also see the timer. Now we're gonna reset this again. And we're gonna run this for 5 minutes. Remember, now this is if it was on your bedstand or in your hand in a speakerphone mode, basically is what you would get. Here we go. 5 minutes. Okay, after 5 minutes, our peak reading is 2.73. I will try to put all these readings down in the description box. And if you were watching, you could see it was active for a while and then stopped, and active for a while and stopped. Now we're going to actually make a call. But in order to do that, I'm going to have to open up one of the big metal doors, and we're going to see the difference here, because right now I probably wouldn't be able to make a call with that phone unless I opened up the door. And so I'm going to do that right now, and you can watch the meter and see if anything changes. Right now we do have a line of sight from the cell phone to where the nearest tower is 3 miles away. So now we should be able to make a phone call. So in order to do this, we're actually gonna make a call, and I got a number to dial here where it can stay on and open the whole time. If my battery doesn't run out, because frankly it's been using a lot of power in order to do this test, and I may not be able to complete the test with doing it this way. All right, let's see here. Okay, we're going to call a number, and you can call this number if you want, but you're going to get something strange here. I'll show you.
This service is provided by freeconferencing.com. Please enter your access code followed by the pound. This menu will repeat. Access code accepted. You are the only participant in this conference.
Okay, so we will turn off the speaker here. No need for that. But we will put the phone over here, and we will reset it. Reset the acoustometer. So a continuous phone call right now. And by the way, if you call that number, you're just going to get, you can listen to my radio show. It's on once a week on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. by dialing that number, or other radio programs that are on that radio network, the Liberty Tree radio network. Anyway, we're going to start this a 5-minute test now. Okay, after 5 minutes, we are at 3.30 continuous phone call, and you saw it never did quit, of course. Now what we're going to do, let me show you what I'm going to do next. Standard wired headset, okay? Earbuds. We're going to plug in earbuds, and we're going to, let's do it this way. We're going to dangle them over nearby about where we were with the phone. So if the earpieces are where the phone was before when we did the test, and we're going to reset this, of course, and we're going to see if there's any difference. And we're going to give this 5 minutes as well. So let's begin. Well, there you have it. After 5 minutes, 3.18, which is almost as what we had before without the headsets being near the acoustimeter. Now, that tells me, although people say the RF travels up the wires, it hasn't overcome what the actual cell phone is putting out 2 feet away. So, is it safer to use the headset? Doesn't appear to be. Or, at least at that distance. Now, there's manufacturers, I'm going to leave this on, but what I'm going to do though, is I'm going to put it closer to where that sensor is. See if I can dangle this in the right spot without messing up my whole rig. What we're going to do is see if it peaks any higher by putting it much closer to the sensor to try to answer that question. And indeed, it did jump up a little bit. So if you actually had these in your ears, you might get slightly more. Remember, we were about 2 inches away from the actual sensor in the unit, but right now we're almost directly above it. And you can see it did go up a little bit more. Because the manufacturers of various headsets, like this one for instance, this one is actually a tube. There's no wire here, it's a tube. There's a wire here up to this point, and then it becomes a tube like a stethoscope. So this presumably, you wouldn't have any RF coming from here to here, but this part here is either on your chest or right by your neck. It's also very close. But if indeed it brings more energy up through the headset, which it appears to be because now it's 5.62, then this would probably stop that to a certain extent, but that high RF would be still to this point. Here's another one. This one is also a tube type. It almost looks like a wire, but it is a tube. And the wire starts down here. So you can buy these things, and what we'll have to do now is we'll have to test that theory. Having it on for just a couple minutes now, 2 minutes after this, with the earbuds directly near the sensor, we're at 5.62. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to attempt to do this without hanging up the phone. And hopefully my battery's still going to survive this. Call is still going. We're going to do the same thing here, except we're going to have to reset the acoustimeter. And we're going to put the headset directly on, and of course it will be lower. It should be lower. And if I can do this without too many wires here. Okay, so the headset is directly on. We won't give it a time frame here. We'll just put the headset on if I can keep it from moving around somehow. Maybe I can't do it. Let's hook it up. Let's hook it. Maybe I can hook it, maybe I can't. Okay, having trouble here. But basically, it is now appearing, based on the short time frame we've had it on there, it doesn't appear to be spiking. It probably won't go past about 3.0 or so, because again, the phone is still putting out the RF. But right now, it is pretty low. And I guess the only way to tell that for sure would be to do this right, and we're going to hook it on somehow. Is that good? Will it stay for 5 minutes? Can't see the clock though. Let me improvise a little bit and put a clamp on this wire so it will stay put. Okay, that will do good. And we'll do this for 5 minutes. Let's go ahead and restart this just for fun. And okay, after 5 minutes, we're only up to 1.55, and that's actually fairly impressive. I didn't expect that. I'm going to unplug that headset now and see if it spikes. And it actually did when I unplugged it, and presumably we will go all the way up to about 3.0 or 3.3 with the headset now gone, correct? But what we're going to do is one more thing now before my battery dies on this phone. We're going to try Bluetooth. Now, it took me a long time to set this up last night when I was trying it, and it was rather, hopefully this works. Now, the way I'm supposed to do this now is to turn it on. We'll watch what happens to the meter. See, now before we even turn on Bluetooth, we didn't turn anything on. It actually is going up. So it does appear that without that tube headset, it produces more. If you were using a speakerphone, you would be receiving more RF than you would be through that tube system. Okay, we're going to turn on the Bluetooth and see what happens. Okay. It's already doing something, making noise. It sounds different, but it hasn't spiked higher. Now, if I did this right, hopefully everything's paired up. So if I turn on Bluetooth, okay, maybe I can't do it while I'm, let's see, headset. Turn Bluetooth on, okay. Okay, as you hear, it's doing something. Now what we're going to do this time, do it two ways to be fair. Put the Bluetooth next to, or should I do it right on? I guess I should do it right on it. Okay. Now it did spike, and you see it spiked to 3.05. What we're going to do is we're going to put the Bluetooth on here and if we can get it to stay on there. Okay, I've never used Bluetooth in my entire life. This was a borrowed unit. I had no idea what I was doing. And as you see, this test is going to be rather strange. But we're still making the call, and what we're going to have to do is restart this thing. And turn it on and go for 5 minutes. Okay, after one 5-minute duration, cut back that noise a bit. It was hovering almost the whole time between 4 and 5. It actually peaked out at 5.27 during that 5-minute period of time. I am still getting sound out of this Bluetooth. It is still operating. Okay, so 5.27. So obviously a lot more RF going straight to your ear via this device. Now if we shut this off, I can shut it off one of two ways, I think. But let's go ahead and shut it off here. And my battery is about ready to die. I can see it says connect to my charger. Return to call in progress. I need to get out of the headset. Okay, and turn this off. And we shall see if my phone lasts. Now it's off. The Bluetooth is off. What I want to do now is, the phone is still working. See, the phone is still on. As long as this call lasts, I'm going to speed up the tape here to resituate this. Okay, last test. The phone is still on. And we're going to do a 5-minute test with the phone as close as I can get it without putting it on the meter, actually. Do a 5-minute test of the acoustimeter this way. This is what you would have similar if you had it right up to your head. Okay, 1.29, 5 minutes in that mode. And of course, the right way to do it, I guess, comparing to the Bluetooth and such, would be to have it right where your ear would be and the sensor. And the numbers, as you see, definitely go up. 5.24 now. You can't see the LEDs, but let's rotate it around here. You can see that we are indeed getting a lot more RF. If you had it right up to your ear, that's more comparable to the Bluetooth right there. Now, before we run out of power here, let's go ahead and put it on airplane mode and show you. It'll probably jump until it basically shows nothing. Now, I wasn't even sure I could go to airplane mode while I'm making a call, and I could, but I hung up. At some point we peaked out at 6 when the power was powered down into airplane mode. Turning this back on, and we will back into a background, which if we will go ahead and show that to you now for a final reference where we started, because we started with the door closed and now the door is open, and so this is the background RF 3 miles away from a tower versus when the door was closed. 5 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes, and we only went up to 0.03, barely budged it at all, with the big door open, the phone next to it in airplane mode. Now I gotta find some antiques. I gotta find somebody with a flip phone and a cordless phone.